I'm John Pike. We're here at Marion, Illinois, just a little bit south of town. I farm here in Williamson County and operate Pike Ag LLC, grow corn and beans, and also involved in quite a bit of on-farm research, coordinating with farmers on nitrogen management, cover crops, and water quality. There's a misconception out there that because there have been some challenges with cereal rye ahead of corn, that we don't want cereal rye involved in corn at all. The erosion control benefit that we get out of that in the fall is something that we wouldn't get if we had just a solid seeding of a legume, because it's not going to have the root development early on. So we want to have that cereal rye or an annual ryegrass or maybe both in a mix with the legume, but then we've got some options about how to handle that before we plant the corn. In the field behind me, where we see pretty much a primary stand of hairy vetch alone, we wouldn't have that hairy vetch to look at had it not had cereal rye in the mix, because it was very cold here for about a week stretch back in the winter, coming out of single digits, and to have the grasses in there helps with winter survival of those legumes. So it's important that we have that good mix for several reasons, but we don't want to let that take over. So in this case, I've sprayed the field with a selective grass herbicide to remove the grasses from the cover crop mix, to just leave what you see growing now, and we're ready to plant into it just as soon as it dries up after the recent rain. What we have here is an example of the cereal rye that would be growing in this field had I not terminated it early. So you can see that with that mixed in with all of the vetch and the clover, what additional biomass that this would grow. And the biomass has its benefits, but it can be an extra challenge, especially for entry level or just learning beginning cover crop systems. But by terminating it early, we can kind of see, this is the stage of the cereal rye that's dying off. So it was killed at this level. So we've got all the nutrients from here up that have been removed from the soil in this. And if we plant corn into this mix, we're not going to have a quick release and quick availability of those nutrients. So when we're ready to plant, we're just planting into the legume biomass that has a very low carbon to nitrogen ratio. So we're setting ourselves up from a nutrient management standpoint in a better way to establish a new corn crop and begin to supply the nitrogen fertilizer to that crop. What I've done here is I've pulled soil samples from 3 different management systems within the farm. We've got some tilled soil from the bottom ground, and then on the hill we have a straight seeding of cereal rye and annual ryegrass that has been terminated, and then we have the soil sample that is in the living vetch that we're going to be planting corn into here shortly. So if we look at this, we've had an 1 3/4 of rain here in the last 30 hours. It's too wet to plant, but we can learn things by looking in the times that we can't be doing field operations. So what we've got here in the tilled example, we've got a mud ball. So we can do that. We can even, it's a high clay soil, so we can almost just ribbon that out. So it's very wet. There's no way that we could think about doing any tillage in this for several days. And if we had a seed that was planted in this before that rain, that it's so saturated in the top couple of inches that it's just not a good growing environment for a germinating or a newly emerging seed. And if we look at the next example here, where we've got just a grass cover crop, and this sample was taken 30 feet away from the tilled example across the lane, and we can see the differences in this soil. So we've got how that breaks up, and even right at the surface. So this would be the top layer just right above where we would be planting corn, and we can look at that and how the difference of that soil that will crumble 30 hours after an inch and 3/4 of rain. But if we look at the next sample here that was taken out of the field behind me, that we still have a green growing cover crop on it, and just because it's the legume there, we can take this, and if we break that open and see what's going on, it's just a total good soil aggregation. And I would maybe be able to think about planting this tomorrow afternoon with this good sunshine and heat that we're getting today. But we've got some worms right off of the bat. We've got the equipment that we can plant effectively into cover crops in high residue. We've got all kinds of add-ons to planters that will allow us to do things and deal with any type of residue that we could come across. So, we've got everything to our advantage. It's just a matter of putting together a plan for our particular operation to find out what works the best. And we can ease into it so we don't have to make substantial outlays of cash and equipment trading right off the bat, as we've got the proper planning going forward.